You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. Today is also the feast day of Saint Scholastica. Both Saint Scholastica and her brother, Saint Benedict, founded religious communities that were located just 5 miles away from each other. Since women weren't allowed inside of a Benedictine monastery, Benedict and Scholastica used a nearby farm for their yearly meetings. They spent this time talking, laughing, praying, and discussing spiritual matters. They really were very close and very committed to each other. During their final meeting, Scholastica begged Benedict to spend the night there at the farmhouse so they could keep talking, but he refused. See, staying would break a rule at his monastery. But at that moment, a terrible thunderstorm hit the village, and Benedict was forced to stay the night anyway. Legend has it, when the storm started, Scholastica gave Benedict a knowing smile because God had answered her prayer. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are exploring our mission statement, letting the Eucharist lead. We have already talked about how we are really in a big Eucharistic procession, our whole life following Jesus and allowing Jesus to work through us. Yesterday, we looked at the sacrifice of the Mass and how Jesus is truly present there, and how whenever there is a priest and the sacrifice of the Mass is being said, Jesus is truly there in the Eucharist. Today, we are going to talk about adoration. Now, of course, we encounter the Eucharist at Mass, but we can also go and spend time with Jesus in adoration. If you haven't ever been to adoration, here is what you can expect. Usually, adoration takes place in a smaller chapel or a part of a bigger church. In a time when Mass is not being said, there is a ceremony for exposing the Eucharistic host, that is the true presence of Jesus Christ. That circle of bread is no longer bread, but truly Jesus. Therefore it is exposed, meaning it is usually placed into a little circle behind glass, in a gold case, and that case fits into a monstrance. Now most monstrances look like a flaming sun. Gold sparks shoot out in every direction, drawing our eyes and our hearts to Jesus in the center. The monstrance is placed on the altar, and it is placed there with incense and burning candles. And we sing certain songs when we expose Jesus in the Eucharist. But as the Eucharist sits there, people are invited to come in and pray. Perhaps you or your parents go to a holy hour where you say, I will be at the chapel from 3 to 4 p.m. every Wednesday to pray with Jesus exposed in the Eucharist. That is an example of a holy hour. So that is what adoration is. But why do we do this in the Catholic Church? Well, we can understand that by looking at the word adoration. Now, you probably hear at the beginning there is the word adore. To adore is to love in a particular way. Sometimes when people are really in love, they misuse the word adore, and they'll say something like, "Oh, I adore you." The proper way to use the word adore is when we're talking about the way that we love God. The word adore means that we love God in a way that acknowledges that He is God and I am not. We are not equals, and yet He loves me, and I humbly place myself before Him out of love. So when we go to adoration, it is an act of love, a small act of love that we can give to Jesus. To understand this even better, I want you to think about the friends that you have in your life right now. When you first met these friends, maybe on the first day of school, or the first time that you saw each other in your neighborhood, chances are you weren't very close with each other. It took a little bit of time to break the ice, to get to know each other, to trust each other, and then even more time to have funny stories that you share or to develop games that you both like to play. All friendships require time. In fact, we're never going to establish a friendship with someone if we don't ever spend any time with them. The same is true with Jesus. We go to adoration to spend time with Him. We know that the Eucharist displayed in adoration is not just a piece of bread. We don't need to go spend time with a piece of bread. No, through the sacrifice of the Mass, this is truly Jesus Christ, and we go to adoration to spend time with him. While in adoration, we can spend time sharing about our struggles or victories, sharing about our worries, or we can just go and sit in the silence and ask Jesus for his peace, because he is the source, the absolute source of peace. Now, it might be a little bit difficult for you to sit still and be with Jesus for a full hour, and that is just fine. But I challenge you, the next time you are in the vicinity of adoration or near a tabernacle where Jesus is inside, I want you to do one small act of adoration. I want you to look either directly at the tabernacle or directly at the host and say, Jesus, I love you, because that is what adoration is, showing that we love Jesus.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Hey there, Sprouts. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to Mr. Banswitch, the Catholic Sprouts guy, this week on the podcast. It is our hope that hearing all of this has lit a fire inside of you to go and be with our Lord Jesus Christ, truly present in the Blessed Sacrament of the altar, and to go to Eucharistic adoration. So I challenge you, Sprouts, to find time to do that. Check your parish website or bulletin, find out when and where Eucharistic adoration is available. And if it isn't available at a time you can go to, remember, he is present in the tabernacle and you can go and pray there. But don't delay. Don't let Jesus be lonely. Go and spend time with him. He's waiting for you.